Hello, everybody. Sorry I'm late to my own live. I scheduled the live on my phone, and I guess when you schedule it on the mobile, that you cannot go live on the laptop. So I've learned. So here I am, 6 minutes late. So hopefully everybody will be able to find where I am. If you're here, go ahead and comment. Let me know you're here. It's probably because I shared the other link with everybody. But that's all right. I'm just going to give you guys a minute. I'm sure everybody will figure it out once it goes live. So today I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Amanda, and I run Bambi Reads Books. And mostly it has been a Bookstagram and then my website at the same time. So Bambi Reads Books on the Instagram, and then Bambireads.com is where I post all the reviews and kind of like make each blog have their own. Each book has its own blog page. So that's what I've been doing, and I think I've been doing that since 2021. And I've just kind of recently been looking, because I've always watched BookTube since probably like before I started blogging, and I mostly watch Gavin with How to Train Your Gavin and Becca with Becca and the Books. Those are the two channels that I kind of started watching when I first got into BookTube. I've always been a reader, but I did not always know that there were people you could share your reading with. Usually I just read it and I was like, that's enjoyable for myself. But I've never really had people that I could talk to about what I read. So it's been really fun having people who read the same thing, to see other people's opinions, to be able to share what I think about it. It's pretty exciting. So I've enjoyed it very much. So I'm hoping that kind of putting my stuff onto BookTube will kind of help me branch out, maybe meet some more people, some more authors, kind of get to read some more books that I haven't read. And honestly, this last year has been really awesome. Um, excuse the I was just checking. Nobody's still here, but that's all right. I was given some books by an author, and they were like, do you like horror? And I was like, I've never read it. And he's like, well, would you try? And so I did, and it was terrifying, and it took me like a month and a half to get through that book, but I did get through it. And then after that I was like, so I don't go through for the gory horror, but I do really like kind of just like the thriller horror where they don't describe the yuck too much, but you get the gist of it. So I am going to go ahead and do the newbie book tag. This is, I believe there's 10 questions, if I'm right. I wrote them down. I believe there's 10 questions, and it's kind of just to introduce my bookish style to everybody so that we can see if we have similarities or not. So it's called the Bookish Newbie Tag. Why did you start this channel? I started this channel mostly, like I said, because I wanted to branch out and I wanted to meet new people. I used to work as a dental assistant, and then I worked up front as like a billing for insurance. And I did that until I had my second child, and then I needed to stay home just because it was too much trying to work full time and take care of both of them. We had our kids really close together. So I have been a stay-at-home mom for the last 5 years, and that was really hard for me because I always worked. Like, since the time I was like 15, I've always had a job. So I wanted to have something for myself, something that I could work for, something that I could put effort into and maybe see like something come back, some kind of return come back, whether it was friends or if it was, a couple books that come in the mail that I didn't have to pay for that were a surprise. Whatever happens, it's just something that is mine, just for me, and I get to enjoy it. And that's why I started my channel. Funny or unique things that I bring to BookTube. I'm not sure. Like, I've been told I'm pretty quirky. Like, I'm just myself, but I've been told that I can be kind of quirky. So there's that. I do tend to be a little bit over honest, especially when it comes to like the books that have the romance in them, because I am very opinionated when it comes to dating and how people should act. And I know I shouldn't be, but just like it really sparks conversation, and I feel like everybody else involved really enjoys it too. I think those are the blogs that I put on the Instagram that we've had the most fun with, is definitely the romance books. So we are all for Katie Roberts and Liz Hamilton over here. Katie Roberts, she writes like smutty romance. Smutty is like the word for adult content, if you don't know. So Katie Robert, that's what she does. And then Liz Hamilton, she has the dystopian kind of romance where like the end of the world's coming, but like there's still real people interactions going on. And I think that's really fun too. So those have been the two that I've been the most interested in. And I think like just my willingness to read almost anything. Like I think that is a plus that I bring. What are you most excited for? I'm most excited to make like-minded friends. Like that would be really exciting for me to be like, hey, have you read this book? Or to actually send a friend a book and to have them actually read it with me. That would be really cool too. Not a lot of my friends are readers, so it would be nice to have a few that I could share that with. So that's what I'm most excited about. Why do you love reading? I'm not sure why I love reading. Like obviously it gets me to sit down. That's a plus because I'm one of those busy people that usually doesn't sit very much. Like TV is okay for me, but not. I don't binge TV. It's like a once or twice a week thing, and it's like a movie. I watch a lot of YouTube, but that's because it's background noise. So I love reading because it's something to focus on. I don't feel like it pulls all my attention into one place so that I don't feel guilty about like not doing the dishes or not doing this or not doing that because I'm 100% focused on what's going on in the story and I really enjoy it. And I do feel like it helps a lot with the anxiety to just sit and just so that is why I love reading. That is it. I didn't actually discover that I loved reading until I think middle school came out. I read the Libba Bray. Libba Bray is the author, and I read her. It's a Great and Terrible Beauty series. I got it at Costco actually, and I was like, "What's this?" And I read it, and I loved it. And then the next one that I read was Twilight. That came out too. And they came out almost at the same time, and I was really curious why Twilight took off the way that it did, and A Great and Terrible Beauty didn't. So I don't know why one became a movie and one didn't because I think that they were equally awesome. Like at the time, I loved them both. I would come home from school, flop in my bed, and just read until like I was starving or it was time to go to bed. So that was kind of how I came about loving books. What book or series got you reading? Well, I answered that one. There you go. And this last time, so I've actually had, I would say, probably 3 chunks of reading in my life. So definitely the one when I was in middle school when those books came out. It might have even been early high school, but I think it was middle school. And then the second time was I was dating my husband and he got us rollerblades, like for like a couples thing to do, and I couldn't keep up. And I was like, you know what? If I fall, I fall. Like it's gonna be okay either way, Like you fall, you get banged up, like when you're a kid, and you get up and you keep going. Like I'm gonna be tough. I'm gonna do it. So I just started speeding down, thinking I could do it. I was going way too fast, and I got the speed wobbles. And I was like, okay, when I was a kid, I used to aim for the grass. So aim for the grass. Didn't help. I ended up tearing my ligament on the inside of my leg. I think it's called an ALC. I could be wrong. So I couldn't walk around for like a month or two. So I'm just sitting in this house, like waiting to be able to do things. And like the crutches hurt, and I'm just like, what do I do? And so I started going like on Instagram and poking around. And at that point, like Bookstagram, I don't think was a thing. I don't think BookTube was a thing at that point either. So I ended up just being like, well, I don't want to watch TV. What do I want to do? So I made it my own personal goal just to like review as many books as I could for Goodreads because that's the only. And I don't know why I did it. Like there wasn't really like a reason to do it. I was just bored and I was like, take me to the library. And I came home with like probably 45 or 50 books and I read them all. And I was like, I love it. Like I get up in the morning. I look forward to getting up. Like I don't know, being in the house for a couple months because you're injured can be a little depressing. So definitely the books pulled me out of that one. And then this last time, I think it was staying home with my kids. Like I said, like I don't like go out a ton because they're little. And it was just something for me to like focus on something, because I feel like when you only have your kids or you only have your house, it's really hard not to like hyper focus on them. So having something of my own to be like, hey, I'm going to go read my room for an hour or two. Dad's going to watch you. Like just having a reason to escape on my own, even if it wasn't an important one, even if it wasn't something that had to happen, scheduling that into my day really just gave me something to look forward to and gave me some time that was mine. So that's what got me reading this last time was just I needed some of my own time. And let's see. Let me see. I'm sorry, I wrote notes and I don't know why I didn't just write the questions out. I was nervous. Questions for other booktubers. I want to know how. I want to know how do you keep up with like the Patreons and the YouTubes, and how do you edit so quick? Like I film and film and film, and I am trying to get the 3 videos out a week, but honestly, I'm a struggling. And then how do you make friends? Like I reach out to people, I'm like, hey, I love this book that you're reading, blah blah blah, and they're like, oh yeah, cool. Hey, I'm reading this one, and then I don't get a response. I'm like, am I being weird? So how do we do that? How do I set up some sprints with some friends? I want to do that. Number 7, what challenges are the hardest for you to overcome? So far, the blog has been great. I love the reading part. I have really been struggling, and that's just because I'm learning and I'm getting much better. But I've been struggling with the balancing the filming, the editing, and the actual getting books read on time. That's been really tough. So honestly, at this point, I just have a ton of footage that I have to edit, and I've been sitting down and doing it. It's just I am very slow, and the upload time was slow. So I use Canva mostly. And the problem with Canva that I've had is I tend to just sit and film like an hour or two straight and then just edit out the mistakes. I just keep going. And Canva only lets me load up 30 minutes at a time. And I don't know why. So I've had to cut my videos. But now that I have the nicer camera, it says it takes up too much space. So I have to cut them down to 8 or 9 minutes. And that's just not, that is time consuming. So I switched to CapCut for the basic editing, and then I'm only using Canva to put in like certain things, certain elements. So hopefully that'll speed things up. I've just started doing that, and it seems to be helping quite a bit. I think it was just that 1 or 2 hour upload time and having to cut all the slides. That was a lot of work. So that is what I've been trying to overcome. But like I said, it's just a learning process. I do enjoy editing the videos. It feels kind of like a little digital scrapbook kind of thing. But at the same time, the time management with it, because I'm learning, has been a bit of a struggle, but I will get there. And I do enjoy doing it, and I'm not giving up. It's just that's what I'm trying to overcome. When did you start reading? I think I probably started learning to read. I would assume it means learning to read. I would assume 1st or 2nd grade. I was a late reader. I didn't really get into it and like really appreciate reading until middle school. And that's when they had the AR. I don't know if you guys had that, but it was like the AR reading system where that was just your reading, where they're like, okay, you have to get this many AR points. So you would read the book, and whatever book was from the library that said AR, and each one would have a certain amount of points. It's like 7 points, 20 points. 20 points would have been like a fatty book. So you got to pick your book from the library, and then you'd read it. And then when it was your turn, you'd say, okay, I finished this book. And you take the AR, I think it was like a quiz, and you'd go on there, type in the name and author of your book, and it would give you like book questions, like specifically about that book, things that you would only know if you read it. And then it scored you from like, I think there was 10 questions. So 10 out of 10, 7 out of 10. And however much you got right was a percentage of the points you got. So it was kind of fun. I didn't really get too into it, but I did see people who were, I did enjoy reading because of the points. Like it was kind of like I think definitely it gave me something else to focus on besides just the reading, until I got more comfortable with the reading, and then I was doing it on my own without incentive. So where do you read? Where do I read? I mostly read in my home. I do have a fire pit in the back that I like to read because it's quiet. Sometimes I'll walk to the water, or I'll drive to like a park and sit and read. We have a beautiful library here in town, and it's nice and toasty. So if it's just been a tough day with the kids, sometimes I'll go down there and I'll just sit because it's quiet and just read, maybe take a little snack. So those are the places I like to read. I mostly read, as far as the books go, there are tons of physical books. I like physical books because I like to hold on to them and then share them with other people. But I do have quite the collection of ebooks, and I also have a lot of audiobooks. We have been collecting audiobooks for a very long time. My husband and I share the Audible account, so it is quite large. So I do like those, especially when I'm cleaning. Like I said, it gives me something else to focus on. What kind of books do you like to read? I started out liking historical fiction very much, and I still do. I have kind of gone into the horror thriller this last year. Excuse me. And now, like I said, I love the romance. I I'm getting a little bit more into the mystery, but definitely more heavy fantasy with world building is one that I struggle with, because the sky is purple and you just accept the fact, or it's red and you just accept the fact that it's red. I'm like, okay, like I like to have some more explanation, but it's just something that I'm gonna have to get used to, just imagining a whole nother world with those descriptions. Sometimes authors describe the world and I completely get it 100%. I'm like, that's great. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't feel it. So that happens. What what does your collection look like? My book collection. So at the moment, my book collection is over here on these two bookshelves in the hallway. We are remodeling the house. So that's just that. So they're over here in the hallway. There's no light in the hallway, but I know it's there. And I pretty much just take them off the shelf when I need them. And I have a stack that I keep, next to my table in my room. So I know those are the ones I'm currently reading, so I don't have to search for them. But eventually I am going to try to get a built-in bookshelf all down the hallway so that I can have like a whole wall of books. But right now it's just the two mobile bookshelves. So what am I currently reading? Currently I am reading a bunch, but I have a stack I'm going to share with you. So here we go. Not the first. There's not really a first. I'm kind of just reading them all at the same time. So I can't say like this is the first or second. I am continuing a series at the moment. So I've read Haven by Cyril N. Domace, and she is on Instagram, and she is a very sweet author to talk to and to collaborate with. We did a giveaway right after her books came out. So there's this one. Avalon is the second one, and I'm not sure. I think that there is a third one. I'm pretty certain there is, but I have not read that one yet. So I want to reread Avalon so that I can move on to the third one. And I never got to finish annotating Avalon. So those books are about fae and humans, and they're sleepers, I guess. I don't know if you know the term sleeper, but that means like somebody who lives in a society like everybody else and secretly is like a spy or like infiltrates something. So because she's fae, she married a human, they had babies, and now it's like, surprise, your wife and your kids are fae, and some of your kids will turn into fae-like creatures and some of them won't. So that's really where they are now, and they're running from the humans. They reach the haven that is ran by a vampire queen, and it's just, are they going to be able to survive the humans or not? Like at some point, does it end or does it not? So it looks like the dragon got hurt in the second book because of the cover. The next one that I am re-annotating is Hag of the Hill by J.T.T. Ryder. This one I did read and review and I loved it, but I wanted to go through and annotate a few more so I could share quotes and maybe up the blog a little bit, because that was a popular one. So I wanted to go back and maybe just kind of spruce up the blog a bit more, since it was one that people liked. And I enjoyed the book, so reading it a second time is kind of exciting. I'm not upset about that. Jane Porter, Once Upon a Christmas. This one is about kind of a cranky man who owns a mansion kind of thing that he doesn't live in, but during the holidays he opens it up for people to come and like have Christmas parties. I guess there's also like some little cottages around the property that people rent out. So the main character, who is a lady, ends up renting one of the cottages, and then it ends up being booked. So then she has to stay in the house with him. He ends up being a grump. She leaves. And at some point that's as far as I am. So she's left to go stay in town because he was being crabby. This is chapter 4. And I'm not sure, because apparently it's a romance. So it's like, what do you call that? Crabby and sunshine. He's a crab, she's a sunshine. So that one, I'm on chapter 4. These two, Katie Roberts, The Dragon's Bride and The Kraken Sacrifice, are both part of A Deal with a Demon novel. They're both novels, but it's not quite a series. I think you can read them all separately, but they all kind of tie in where you know the basic story, but you don't have to read them in order. So I am reading these ones. These are the smutty books that I told you about. We love our Katie Robert. And I believe that there are more. I think there might be 2 more of these, but I'll have to see after I finish these. And like I said, we always have really fun discussions on those books. So that'll be fun to see how that goes. Rivers of Wrath by Alexandra West and Lucas Astor. The first one was Rivers of Ashes, and it was about a teenage boy who was just a monster, and he got away with it for like very good at manipulating, and the things that he did was terrible. And the amount of betrayal in that book, the amount of like, you think this person's safe, and then they do this awful, horrible thing to you, and then it's over, and you're just like, oh. And then at the end, like, you find out there's a bigger monster than the monster that we knew. And now going into book 2, I'm not sure what to think, because it didn't get Game of Thronesy in like the setting, but it get Games of Thronesy in the fact that the authors are not afraid to off whoever in the book that they need to keep the story going. So love it. Excited. Definitely was hard to get through the end of the last one. Like, I had to take some breaks because it's just, you get emotionally attached to the characters, and when those things are happening to them, you're just like, oh, but I definitely do appreciate it. And Alexandria West, I ended up doing another video that I'll tag if I am allowed to tag in lives. I'm not sure if I am, but I'll share it if not. I did a video about her. She talked about why she wrote. It might actually be, I think it was in the back of the first book though. She talked about why she was writing such a graphic essay book, because there is a lot of essay in the book. And she said because she wants it to be something that people are more comfortable talking about, because she doesn't want people to hide it. She says that if we make it a conversation in media and in books and in movies, that's where it starts. And it's going to bring people to not feel so ashamed, she's hoping, and to really show, like, there were statistics on how many people have had those things happen to them and never reported it. And it was quite a large number. I'm not sure what it was for sure, but definitely if you read the author's notes in the back of Rivers of Ashes, she explains it all there. And I may have even said it in the movie or the video that I did about her excerpt. So I will post that and you can watch that. But definitely, I thought that was quite interesting that she felt the need to justify why she was writing it, but also that she has a reason as well and not just a justification. So the next one that I found, this one I found at, I think this was either a Goodwill book or the library book, Tamsin by Peter S. Beagle. And this one is about a ghost and her cat. Tamsin died more than 300 years ago. As ghosts, she and her cat have haunted the lonely estate without rest. So I'm excited. I believe that there is, I don't know how old Jenny, the main character, is, but she's the live one. And then Tamsin is the girl that's not alive. And I haven't really started too much of this. I think I read it. I read 2 chapters of it, but it wasn't enough to be able to share too much about it. So I'm excited about that one. Sounds creepy. The next one, everybody, oh no, there's the next one, not the last one. The next one. Everybody's favorite. I know everybody's reading Iron Flame right now. I actually just received Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros from my husband, I believe last month, and I haven't had time to read it yet. So I did start a little bit. Let me see. I think I'm on chapter 2. And so far, all I know is that they're training people to ride dragons, and they're like, probably you're not going to make it past 3 years of doing this, and you're all going to. So it's interesting, and that's as far as I've gotten. So I don't know. But everybody seems to love it. So I'm going to trust everybody else, and I'm going to commit to reading it. And then we'll move on to Iron Flame and get on the bandwagon, because everybody seems to be loving it. And it is a really pretty book. It's very shiny. The next one is Path of Thorns by A.G. Slatter. And I just finished reading All the Murmuring Bones by this author. I went to see if there was any other books. This is the only other book by this author. And it's like she writes, A.J. Slatter writes, I don't know. I shouldn't say he or she because I don't know that. Excuse me. But anyways, the author writes myths, or how do you say, fairy tales kind of, but makes them dark, realistic, and puts them in kind of like a more up-to-date setting. So the mermaid one, oh my goodness, like I didn't see the end coming at all. Like I loved it. Like the whole time I was just like went through that book really fast. Like 2 days, I think I finished it. Didn't take very long. So I'm excited to read A Path of Thorns. And Asher Todd comes to live with the mysterious Moorwood family as a governess to their children. Asher knows little about being a governess, but she is skilled in botany and herb crafts, and perhaps more than that. And she has a secret of her own, dark and terrible. And Moorwood is a house that eats secrets. With a monstrous revenge in mind, Asher plans to make it choke. However, she becomes fond of her charges of the people of the Tarn, and she begins to wonder if she will be able to execute her plan, and who will suffer most if she does. But as the ghosts of her past become harder to control, Asher realizes she has no choice. So that sounds fun and scary. The most recent read was Tales from the Parkland by Ronald McGilvery, and we will have the full review video up on Thursday. That's the day after tomorrow. I do have a review up on the website and on Instagram, just kind of like a general review. I did give this book, I gave this book 5 stars. I did enjoy it very much. It had short stories that were just kind of like a little tiny heart race, and it took maybe like, I think, 8 to 10 pages for each one. So you're like, oh, and then it was over, you know? And then at the end, there's a novella that's a little bit longer. It's probably, I would say, like 50 pages or so. And that one was a little bit darker, but still just as good as the short stories. I did have 2 favorite short stories, and I will be talking about those in the review. I will not be talking about all of the short stories. I'll be talking about them in the written review, but for the video, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll only pick my 2 favorite, and then I'll talk about the novella as well. So Ronald McGilvery, for sure. McGilvray, sorry. Oh, this is why I was like worried, because there's no editing. It is what it is, you know? Ronald McGilvray. And he has been a very supportive follower on Instagram as well. Him and Brian Boyer both are horror writers, and they both are very supportive to their reviewers, and I appreciate them both for always sending books to me, either by ebook or from, like Kindle Unlimited. I appreciate that very much, and I look forward to reading more of his and Brian Boyer's books. So that is kind of what I had to talk about today. Woo! I don't want to unplug my camera. I stacked my books on the cord. So this is the first live that I've done. I kind of figured it'd be a little fumbly, and that's okay. So I was told that you should make an avatar for your audience, and so I did. And I took the stats that were on YouTube to make it, and it seems that mostly I have male followers who are in their 30s and who work nights, because they watch my stuff like super early times in the morning, like between midnight and 5 a.m. So I'm assuming I wonder if it's because I read so many like thriller books, and I bet you if I read a little bit more romance, I'd have more female followers. Not that it matters to me. It doesn't matter at all. I just thought that was interesting. I'm like, oh, I'm keeping people entertained. Yeah, and then besides the books on this channel, I do kind of have like the cottage core thing going on. We do have an older house, and we are remodeling it to make it a little bit more up to date and warmer and just easier to use. So I'm excited about that. Once the kitchen's done, I'll be able to start doing some cooking and cooking videos and some fermenting videos and some canning videos. I used to have a flower business. I did. So I may be sharing, like, once in a while I make flower arrangements for friends just for fun, and I may share those little projects as well. Just mom life, cottagecore mom life with a lot of books. So that's what I'm doing. So I guess that, and I can introduce those puppies too, because I'm sure you hear Miss Daisy snoring back there. So back here is Miss Daisy, and she is a lab. What was she? She's an English bulldog mastiff. That's what she is. But she looks like a lab, but she's not. She's a bigger version. I don't want to wake her up. I'm sure she'll come over and say hi at some point. And then we have little Bear. Bear is about this big, and he's sleeping right over there. And they're both just taking naps. When the kids are at school, everybody rests until they all come back and start terrorizing us again. So I will introduce them. I'm sure if we do some reading sprints later tonight, that they will be there and they will be snuggling. So they're quite sweet puppies, honestly. But I'm biased. They're mine. So currently I am reading Promises Today, because all of those I'm currently reading. Monsters and Muses, Book 1 by Savar Miller, Promises and Pomegranates. It is a retelling of Hades and Persephone and the myth. I don't know if you guys have heard the story. So this is not the book story. This is what the book is kind of modeled after. So the story of Hades and Persephone. Hades and Persephone, somehow, I should know more of this, but this is just the gist of it. Somehow Hades and Persephone meet, and he takes her to the underworld, and she's staying. Well, then her mom gets upset that her daughter's gone, And so she decides to stop. I believe she's like the queen or the goddess of like springtime, summertime. So without her, there's no like flowers, there's no gardens, like the weather gets bad. And that's supposed to symbolize summer and spring. And then the 3 months that Persephone stays with Hades is supposed to be winter because her mother's mourning her daughter because she's gone for the 3 months out of the year. And so during her time, Persephone's spending with Hades, she says, I need to go back, to my mother because she's like freezing the world out and starving everyone. And he's like, okay, well, I understand. I'll let you go. But then she eats food there. And I guess if you eat food in the underworld, something happens. So she eats 3 pomegranate seeds. And that means that she has to spend 3 months down with Hades and the other 9 months with her mother. So that's why a lot of people that have like altars and they use like symbolic things to set goals, like vision boards. Some people put out like candles and like letters that they write to themselves, whatever they do. A lot of people will take a pomegranate and put it there because by the time that the pomegranate breaks down and looks funky, that means that spring should be on its way. So it's kind of just like, look, winter's almost over. The pomegranate's getting funky. So that's what I understand about the story. So I'm excited to read more of a a spicy retelling of that story. So that is what we got going on. And I have my Yoda cup today. When your favorite song comes on, it's not Yoda. I know his name is not Yoda, but he's a baby that looks like Yoda. So I've got my decaf green tea. I've got some apple slices and peanut butter, and I'm pretty excited to finish the book. Honestly, I'm just trying to figure out with this live, like, how do I add music and things to it? Because that's something I would love to do. I don't know. Well, so we have about another hour and a half that I was going to dedicate to staying on here. So I am going to go ahead and leave you with the Snoring Daisy for a second, and I will be right back. And then I'll just do a reading sprint. So sadly, I don't have any music. I don't know how to put music on here. I will learn, and next time I will have music. I'm going to use the timer on my phone. So that's what we'll do. And we'll have a reading sprint. So I'll be right back and we'll get to doing that. I just have to let the other dog out. So it'll just be a second. Okay. Okay, guys, so we're going to do a reading sprint. I don't know how long you guys want to do that for. Unless you have any questions for me, I can answer those. However, if you don't, I was thinking, since I promised to be here until 11:30, that maybe you'd like to read. But if you don't have questions, here we go. And I think I'm going to go ahead and read The Promises and Pomegranates because this is the only one I haven't started yet. So I'm going to go ahead and read that. And let's set the timer for, let's say 20 minutes, and then we'll check in and see how everybody's doing. I think that this video will save as well. So if you don't have time to sit and watch it now, I'm pretty sure it will post and that you can go back and watch it again later. So let's set that timer for 20 minutes. And I will be here. So if you have any questions, I will periodically look, and I don't mind answering your comments while we're reading. So don't worry about that. All right, here we go. 20 minutes. Hear Daisy snoring. Sorry there's no music. I have to figure out how to put that music in. It's all learning. Boom. Okay, guys, that was 20 minutes. Did you guys get a lot done? Hold on. Apparently, I don't have to turn my own alarm off. So, in 20 minutes, I read 30 pages. And my opinion on this Promises and Pomegranates is the dude in this book is sick and twisted in more ways than one. He's like the bad guy on the dating app that you're just like, can I block you? You know, unwanted too quickly. And I think he just killed her fiance too on their wedding day. I'm pretty certain that was him. So that's a lot in 30 pages. That's a lot going on. Well, we have an hour left. I don't know if you guys want to chill and do some more reading sprints or if you guys want to ask questions. I'm not sure what you want to do, but I'm feeling this Daisy has been snoring pretty loud. She scared me a couple times. I don't know if you could hear her, but for sure she was. Honestly, I may just cut this live short and I will get to editing some of the other videos that I have for you guys. Yesterday I did film a complete physical TBR video, so I'm sure that's going to take a long time to edit. I saw it on Becca in the Books and How to Train Your Gavin, where they list every single physical book that they haven't read, and then they number them 1 through whatever, and they can use that. I could use that. Everybody can use it for when you have to pick a random TBR read. So you can either put in your phone, pick number 1 through whatever, or you can roll the dice, whatever. And then when you go to the video, you look and find that number on the book, and that's the book you read. So I thought that was pretty clever. I do get overwhelmed personally when I go look at all my books. I'm like, which one do I grab, and what's going on with that one? So that's that. I don't know. That's just that. I don't have any big plans besides just the reading all these books. I'm trying to catch up with the TBR before the end of the year. I need to clean up my Goodreads. I'm also bringing all of the older reviews back, the ones that I did 2022, 2021, and 2022. They're coming back onto the blog. So it will be available for you to read. I was going to sit and do videos for each one and not post them until I had a video for the review, but I feel like that's going to take a long time, and I will eventually go back and update the retro blogs, but right now I just want to get them back on the website. So I think I finally found a good layout for the blog, hopefully now, because I keep changing my mind on what I want it to look like, but functional is the way to go, especially with trying to do all these other things. I do not have a Patreon just yet because I wanted to build up my following on YouTube and Instagram before I opened that up. I just felt like it was just another thing that I'm not quite sure I'm ready for, but maybe next month. Probably January was when I was thinking, like start the new year out with something new. So we'll see about that. And I'm going to go ahead and pop off then. I know it's a little bit earlier than I said, but since everybody's probably at work, I will have to try another time, maybe this evening or sometime this weekend when more people are around. But I do appreciate you coming and joining me and visiting with me, and I look forward to hearing what you're reading. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram at Bambireadsbooks. You can follow me on the blog and contact me there if you want to. Bambireads.com, and I'm open to book reviews, to doing reading sprints if you want to do a buddy read. I'm open to collaborations with brands if you are interested in that. My email address is bambireadsbooks@gmail.com. And besides that, that is all I have for today. And thank you guys for struggling through my first live. And hopefully I'll figure out how to put music and timers on and we can do some more fancy sprints later on. So have a good rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you next Tuesday at the same time, 9:30. Have a good rest of your day.